Hawks21 here, back with another Splinterlands video. So we got some big news from the Town Hall. Well, not really. Most of our news was actually stay tuned until next week's Town Hall for a bunch of big announcements, which I'm super excited for. But one of the more meaningful things we did get in this Town Hall was a picture of the sort of logo for one of the new abilities coming in Riftwatchers called Fury. And as you know, if you've been around my channel for a while, whenever we get something new like this, I love to speculate. I love to think through what it could be, what it could mean for specific types of monsters, what it could mean for the meta. I posted this tweet today. New ability on the called Fury. Here's the picture. Looks like an angry, hyped up individual. Almost reminds me of Enrage. And again, they didn't give us any information on what the ability does, but that's where the fun comes in. We get to sort of predict and try to see if we can guess what it is. So before I even get into it, I want you guys to comment what you guys think it'll be. There was a lot of conversations happening on Twitter. There were some really good ideas. We're going to talk about those. But before we get into it, I am Hawks21. I cover Splinterlands almost every single day here on YouTube. I also talk about Splinterlands on Twitter, and I recently started a Discord. So if you want more interaction with me, I'm in my Discord constantly talking with people, answering questions. So that's probably the best place to find me. And then as well as Twitter. So I'm sort of covering my Splinterlands bases. Okay, let's get into it. There was a couple ideas thrown out, and I'm going to run through some of them. And I'm going to save my favorites for the end. So one of the ideas was every time a monster with Fury gets hit, it gains an attack, or one extra, sort of like almost like Bloodlust, right? So I think that would be too overpowered. If you put it on a really big, powerful tank that can eat up a lot of hits, all of a sudden it's going to be insane. But then on the flip side, if you put it on a weaker monster, then it's useless because it's not going to be able to take a lot of contact except for equalizer rule if it has a lot of shield, the weak magic rule sets. So I don't think that's it. Another one was, this is Enrage specifically for magic and ranged monsters. So they do get enraged in the Enrage rule set, but they don't gain any attack, right? They just gain speed when they get enraged in the Enrage rule set. So maybe this is like Enrage, but it boosts their magic or range damage as well. Not a bad idea, but I don't think that'll be the case either. Just because, again, there's too much overlap with the actual Enrage. There was one where maybe it does double damage to taunt monsters. I actually kind of like this one. My only drawback would be they just released, or they're about to release, Yasik as a taunt counter. But maybe they feel like they need to double up. Right? Maybe they feel like that's not enough. We can't just have one Splinter with a taunt monster. The taunt meta is too prolific. It's too hard to beat. We need more options. So I don't hate that one, right? It almost makes sense. Fury. So the idea of a taunt, right? It's distracting you. It's drawing your attention. I almost think of like the bull and I cannot remember the name of the man or woman in the ring with the bull who has the red cape. So forgive me, but Matador? I want to say Matador. That could be wrong. But we're just going to call it Matador. So the Matador and the Bull, where the Matador is sort of taunting the Bull gets upset, and then it charges, right? So I kind of view this as potentially the same way. The Fury monster is getting taunted, and because of that, gets really angry and does double damage to the taunt monster. So that's one I like, and that would almost be a counter to the Mycelic Slip Spawn with the force field, right? Because let's say this monster had 3 or 4 damage. It's not going to trigger the force field because the force field is triggered on the original hit, not on the boosted hit. So like if you have a recharge monster that hits for 4, like Uriel, and it hits a force field monster, it's still going to hit for 12 because the force field lets through that initial 4, and then it gets the 3x multiplier. So this would be the same thing. You know, if it hits for 4, and then it gets doubled, all of a sudden you're doing 8 to slip spawn, and it helps you get through. So, you know, I really like that one. That's probably in my top 3. And then my second would be, and this has less to do with this picture and the name itself. I'm sort of doing a little mental gymnastics to stretch this because I really want this ability. But I don't think this is what they would call it or what they would do with it, but I've convinced myself that maybe it could be. So I've long been talking about, I think they're going to release ability. I think it's going to be called like Battery or something. It's not very creative, but something along those lines. And what it's going to do is let recharge monsters attack on the first turn. I've talked about that a lot. If you've been here, that's not a surprising thing to hear come out of my mouth. So if you look at this picture, right, this is my mental gymnastics at work. It's someone or something that's fired up, right? Angry, fury. My view of recharge monsters, right, is their attacks take so much energy to put out that they need a turn to prepare it, right? They need to generate their attack. They can't just do it every single turn. It's too powerful. Well, what if the Fury ability is almost like a shot of adrenaline? Where, any monster with recharge, if you play a monster on your side with Fury, then, it makes them angry, it gets them riled up, so they're able to then attack on the first turn. And they don't have to wait. So, again, I think they would name it something different, but I think you could potentially see how that would be the case. I don't think that's the most likely. Actually, the most likely one, which I was going to end on, actually 12 quote tweeted my tweet and said, "This new ability, Fury, will amplify damage after an ally dies, like Bloodlust kinda. That's my prediction." So I really, really like this prediction. So basically what would happen is, you know how Bloodlust, if your Bloodlust monster eliminates one of your opponent's monster, it triggers Bloodlust. Well, what if it almost worked in reverse? This might be a little too OP. Unless you sort of what if you put it on tanks, right? I was just thinking like, think of what you could do to counteract the sneak meta, right? If you had a tank with that ability and you knew your opponent was going to spam, like let's say that low mana water sneak team that gets played all the time, and you had a tank up there with Fury, as your back line was getting destroyed by that sneak play, your monster up front would be getting better and better and better and able to sort of take out their front line while they're sneaking and doing damage to your back line. I actually commented that. I said, I like that one. Playing a tank with Fury would end up being an amazing sneak counter if that was the case. Let them take out backline monsters while your take keeps getting stronger up front. So this is my favorite one from 12. I'm very curious what you guys think. I would say my top 3 are, again, more of a wish list item, but just the recharge, attacking on the first turn. Then the double damage to taunt. I think that actually might be the most realistic. And if I had to pick one that I thought it was going to be, I think that one. But my favorite, I think, is 12 Suggestion, which is sort of the reverse of Bloodlust. The monster with Fury watches an ally die, and it gets really angry, and it gets some sort of boost. Or maybe an ally dies, right? And then a monster with Fury gets enraged for, 2 turns or a turn or whatever it is. So there's something to go there where, if one of your monsters gets eliminated, something gets triggered in Fury monsters. All right, lots to think about. Again, comment your predictions. I'm really curious what you guys think. I think there's going to be a couple new abilities in Riftwatchers, so I'm excited to see those. What's one of my favorite things about this game is that it keeps changing. It keeps challenging you. Once they release this ability, it's going to alter the meta. Some cards are going to lose value, some cards are going to gain value, and it's all about that process and trying to figure that out and do the best you can. All right, I'm going to stop it there. If you enjoyed this type of content, it would be awesome if you could like and subscribe. Hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you around the game.